Hey everyone, it's been Pixie here, and today I have a rather unpleasant video to do. But because Goddess says that I must do it, here I am. So the reason that I'm doing this video is because I've been doing a lot of divination with Goddess, and it's led me to some revelations, and it's led me to some things that I needed to talk about. So I touched on them in the Working the Yesod video. But I got a pretty clear response from her that said it wasn't enough, that withholding information is that might be to the benefit of other people, is being the opposite of a sage, is being the opposite of someone with wisdom to share. And so I asked her, well, am I supposed to do a separate video? And, I explained to her the reasons why I held back on some of the information from the Yesod video. And she said that vulnerability is growth, and there's growth in vulnerability. And a couple of other things. So here I am doing this video. A lot of times it can seem like daughters of the Morrighan or sons of the Morrighan are, they project a really high image of themselves, a really, just, you always want to put your best foot forward to begin with. But when it comes to daughters and sons of the Morrighan, we're called to a higher conduct, to live a more honorable lifestyle. One of the major tenets of this path is to live with honor. And the thing that I don't hear a lot of us talk about is that we are not infallible. And we are not without making our mistakes. And I'll grant you that I don't know every daughter of or every son of the Morrighan. The ones that I do know, I subscribe to. I try to watch the videos, and so on and so forth. Try to get to know the kin, so to speak. But I wanted to do this video because I thought it was important to share that, we make mistakes on our path, and sometimes they're little mistakes that we work through. But sometimes they're more bigger than we realize. And we're human. We're not infallible. We're not the Morrighan, otherwise we wouldn't be learning from her. So, I'm doing this video rather uncomfortably, because, frankly, she wanted me to do it. And though I'm not comfortable sharing a lot of the stuff that I'm going to share, it is what is called for me to do, so. I generally know myself as a person. I'm very self-aware, very introverted, very reflective, and I know myself. When something is being brought to my attention about myself, then it's time to take a good hard look at what's going on. Especially when it is being brought to my attention by my goddess. And it's something I didn't know at face value, but apparently it ran a little deeper than I thought. Or than I was willing to admit to myself. Not a very good liar to myself, because that's almost impossible. Because I'm kind of like, I think I've said this before, I'm kind of like a robot. in the sense that if I find a problem with something, I'll scan from the feet up and find out where that problem is, where that little hiccup is, and work it out in order to be happy, in order to go on, in order to, and, I'm really good at self-analyzing. But apparently, things that I thought were not a big deal were a lot bigger deal to the Morrighan than I thought. And that's not quite true, because it was just more that I just wasn't doing the work to fix it, basically. So one of the things that came up is commitment. Let me tell you, it has been stressed by many a daughter that honoring your vows to the Morrighan is a big thing. And if you don't do that, you're not going to have a very happy goddess. And I've been in that situation where I've said, okay, I'm going to do this by this date, and it didn't get done. It might have started to get done, but the fact of the matter is it didn't get done. Okay, well, oops, and sorry, and try better next time, and all that kind of nonsense does not fly. And so that just kind of goes on her little tally board. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't do anything. It just kind of goes up there like, nah, it's strike one. If you do it again, strike two, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Until she's like, okay, what the hell? Why are you, just stop. Just stop. Just stop. Don't, we need probably to go and re-educate you on what a commitment is. So she kind of just puts that in the bank of, education. She's, okay, apparently we need to do more work on this. And, sort of bides her time to see if you correct your own mistakes. But then if you add to them, she does the same thing, She's keeping score. She's watching. And she's just kind of stacking her bricks. And then she hits you with a ton of them and tells you, look, this, and I'm pissed. So yeah, that's kind of where I am. And in 20-ish years of my path with her, really, 20-ish years of a magical path with her, I don't think I've ever been in the doghouse the way that I am right now. And to be one of her daughters and actually fess up to the fact that, yeah, she got pissed at me, is something I really don't hear a lot of talk about, so I'm going to do this. So I messed up. I didn't keep track of the things that I knew were happening, the ways in which I was being disloyal to my path and to my goddess. And there were just things that I thought I could work through, I guess, when I got to it, which is, don't ask me what the hell I was thinking there. Really, don't ask me what I was thinking there, because it's like, okay, well, I know I didn't do this or that when I said I was going to do, I know, but something came up, and I had to do this or that, and there was just not a way to do this, that, and do that, or, like, excuses. It's a lot of excuses. And I've noticed that a lot of people make excuses, me in particular, speaking, but excuses do more than just, stop you. They create blockages, and maybe this is where it's coming from. Excuses create blockages because you're so... An excuse is a way of hiding from the work that needs to be done. And when you do that, you're like, no, excuse. I'm not, you don't, no, you don't see that. And you kind of hide from it under these excuses. And you put all these excuses on top of you, and they create blockages. It happens, And I generally, at least in my path, I'm not somebody who does that. And I really try not to be somebody who's a bunch of walking excuses. But, I don't know. I don't know. I really honestly don't know where my head was at, to be perfectly honest with you. I think it was on so many other things and so many other, it's not that I didn't know I was not honoring commitments. I mean, I knew the whole time. I just didn't think, for some reason, that it was as bad as it had gotten. And these excuses led to a blockage of energy, of goddess energy, whether it be inner goddess energy or energy with the Morrighan. And it was a very revealing divination session a few nights ago that brought it all to my attention. There was a really brief time where I felt exactly how angry she could be. Now, there's a difference between her walking away from you and being done and teaching you a lesson. And I learned the distinction. Well, I learned the lesson part. The walking away part, I hope never to experience, because if the lesson is like the lesson is, I would hate to have pissed her off to the point where she leaves. Because just in teaching, she's not going to say, well, next time you need to... No. She's going to be like, look, you need to understand this. And until you understand this, I'm going to go over here. Because apparently you don't care to do the things that you know you're out of step with. So I'm just going to go over here. And when you feel like you can take on this path again, and you call me, if I still feel like being there, I'll be there. But I'm just going to go over here. Just standing there in the, with my divination surrounding me and just looking at what I've been doing and not really correcting at all. And being somebody that in my path I've never been before. It was not a good feeling. There were a few days, there was a day or two when I was like, well, if she's walking away from me, there's nothing I can do. And then there was, well, no, I don't let go of things that are important to me without a fight. And I don't make a mistake without taking something from it. Mistakes can be a really empowering thing if you're willing to learn. If you're willing to benefit from them. And that's how I make my mistakes. I benefit. I learn. So, this morning, I had my second major divination session, which is when I was told to make this video. Last night's video was a step in the right direction, but this is to, hopefully help her other daughters not make the mistakes that I've made. Vows, commitments, things of that nature are very, very sacred to the Morrighan. To break or to not fulfill a commitment or a vow is a slap in the face. It's a disrespect. It is a dishonorable thing to do. Because in ancient times, your word was your bond. And I believe it should still be the same today, but it's just not. That's why we have contracts. But, the Morrighan comes from a time where your word was your bond. And if you are not your word, then who are you ever? And so I learned that lesson. And it's a mistake I will not repeat. The other thing is excuses. Now, I didn't so much get the excuses thing in divination, but I know that a lot of it does come from, something else came up, or I got double booked somehow. Somehow? No, I double booked myself. And so this got in the way of me doing what I was supposed to be doing. All the blah, blah, blah excuses, that we can come up with as to why we don't do magic or why we don't do something. Oh, the kids are home. Oh, my husband won't let me. Oh, I couldn't get a moment alone. Oh, well, the car was in the shop. I couldn't get to work. Whatever it is. Whatever it is, excuses that we make in our lives. They're excuses. There's something to hide under so that we cannot hold ourselves accountable for the things that we're not doing. And so that was something that I got from all of this. And then there was other things. One of the things that came up with was the way that I see injustice or justice. For example, like to put it in a general term, I don't understand how some people can have so much money when they treat other people so horribly, when they're so, when they degrade and belittle and disrespect people, how they could have so much when people who are the most kind and dear people have so little. Now, this is not remotely what I'm really, what I was really talking about in divination, but that's the best example that I'm willing to share. But it's pretty much along those lines. Like, how come these people don't, don't get hit? Like, how come they don't have something where they lose all their money and they have to know what it's like to be struggling, to be poor, to be in the shoes of the people that they belittle and degrade, and passing judgment on that. One of the lessons I got this morning is that not everyone is on the same path. Not everyone is on the same path. They don't all experience things the same way. And just because it's something you're not seeing doesn't mean it's not something that's not happening. And though there is injustice, you have to have faith in the universe to balance it out. And judging is only going to put you on the outs with yourself, with your path, with your practice. And I think that that's a pretty important thing to share, because we all pass judgments. We all pass judgments. We all, you know, say things to people. We all, or about people even. Passing judgment on them without really even knowing them. We just see the picture for what it is and we don't look past it. And the lesson is that you have to trust, that there's always a balance, whether we see it or we don't. I mean, there's always a balance. That person who has a zillion dollars and treating people like crap, well, their wife could be getting ready to run away with one of the people that they consider the help. Their fortune could be entangled in investments that are going to be detrimental to their success, and they're going to live in ruin. You don't know. You don't know them. You don't know their life, so you can't pass judgment. The judge, the jury, the executioner, that's their deity, their karma, their whatever it is that weighs the good and the bad on the universe. Whether you call it Mott, whether you call it deity, whatever, source, what have you. And it's not for us to judge. And it's hard to remember that, because sometimes when you see something that is just so unjust, that it hurts, that it makes you sad, that's when it's the hardest to remember these kinds of things. But that was definitely another part of the process to go through. Another one of the mistakes to be corrected. So there's a lot of work that I'm doing. And after today, I feel really hopeful. I feel like I'm back on track. But like I said, there's still work to be done. And shadow work with the Morrighan it's not easy, because it takes you to the deepest parts of yourself, to the most raw parts of yourself, to the bone, to the essence. And it makes you look at yourself in a light that ain't always pretty. And for those who are seeking out this path, who want this path, who are petitioning to her or what have you, I'm kind of in the agreement with Joey Morris that seeking her out is not the way to go. But for those of you who would like to embark on her path, either because she's called you, or because against advice, you'd still want to seek her out, let me just tell you, shadow work is a very raw experience. It takes you down to the innermost recesses where you think all your little dark hiding places are, and brings them to the surface. And if you cannot handle that, then she won't appear. She won't come. And if you're on her path and you continue to try and hide from it, I guarantee you she's not going to be there for long. Because in order to live an honorable life, in order to be the highest version of yourself, you have to know the lowest depths that your hiding places go. You have to know yourself in a very real way to know when you're living out of alignment with that path. You have to know your most dishonorable parts to know, your honorable parts, and to keep the parts of you that tend to want to take the easy way out. You have to be able to keep those in check. And this experience has not been an easy one. It's not been something that I care to repeat. But I thought it was really important to share it. It's not been a fun experience. And I just have to say at this point, I'm pretty glad that I have a good track record of only making mistakes once. That's not to say I'm going to be cocky and arrogant and say that I couldn't make it again, because once you think something like that, the first damn thing you're going to do is make the same mistake again. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, I did it, so now I know what to be mindful of. I move forward from here. And I know that I'll be doing it with my goddess. And that's what's important. To experience forgiveness, not just some sort of Christian belief of being absolved when you've done no work, but to really, really dig deep and do the work, and start the work, I should say, and experience forgiveness for mistakes that you've made that are pretty big mistakes. It's a very striking thing. And the thing of it is that she wasn't angry. I mean, she wasn't happy, but she wasn't angry. She was just disappointed. It was to the point where I was pretty ready for things to start breaking. But it wasn't anger. I never felt anger. It was just, she's like, I expect better from you, and I know you expect better from you. So here it is. Here is the shit that you're in. And at this point, I'm pretty fed up. They either clean it up or don't. I'm just disappointed. And I chose to start cleaning it up. So that's my experience with making a mistake on this path. We don't give up. Daughters of the Morrighan who wish to remain daughters of the Morrighan don't give up. We take our lumps and rise from the ashes and do what we have to do. If you're currently experiencing something like this, the best advice I could give you is own up to it and work through it. And if she's put you on a sabbatical, do what is necessary to prove your worthiness. And if it feels like she's walked away, all you can do is live like she was standing right beside you. Because that is what is going to prove to her the kind of daughter you can be. The kind of daughter that it is still in you to be, or son that is still in you to be. So, do what you have to do. Don't be a child about it. Cry and do what you gotta do, but get up and get to work. And if the path and if your goddess is important to you, get to work, Do what she asks you to do. If you don't know what that is, do some divination and figure it out. She's more than willing to guide you. She's just not going to walk away and say, well, you don't know, so I'm not going to tell you. If it's something that's blaringly obvious, she probably will, because you should know. So, do what you have to do to prove that you're a worthy daughter. And continue to do it. And even if she feels distant, do what you have to do. And if she comes back, great. But if you're too far gone, then all you can do is continue to live your life the way that is authentic to you, and perhaps she'll come back, you know, or perhaps someone else will step forward that is, you know, a fit for you, a better fit for you where you are in your life, because it may not be the Morrighan who is the fit for you. So hopefully you can glean some sort of knowledge from this, and I wish you many blessings.